Nothing I like better than a good time lapse. So this is an area that I come to quite often because it's got quite this really nice little beach here, this like nice little sandbar, and the small island that I was just shooting that time lapse on. If you take a look at that, it's a really nice setting. So sometimes I've done family photo shoots here, I've done wedding photo shoots and pre-wedding, that kind of stuff. And it's all wonderful and it looks great in photos, and the good thing with Photoshop is obviously you can Photoshop any of the trash that's laying around on the beach. You can Photoshop that out. These are the little floats that I mentioned to you before. This one's obviously been out in the ocean quite some time. It's got quite a lot of the goose barnacles on it. And this is one thing that we find a lot of on the coastline here are these buoys like this, blues, reds mainly, but they obviously get ripped off of maybe moorings or boats even, and they set float and they wash up on the beach in Okinawa. So plenty of these things, and you can check the mussels out on the string of here. Some creative soul has decided to add it to a tree. But these beaches here, I'm actually looking for a stone. I'd like to find a very specifically shaped stone because I've started carving. I love carving. I love the idea of doing stuff with wood and with stone, and even with shells. Anything from the beach. This is my whole interest in beachcombing, is just to try and find stuff that I can incorporate into elements maybe that I could even sell or do whatever with, or just keep for myself. But I've seen some pretty incredible and inspiring videos on YouTube about carving items that are kind of like beach related, from stones found on beaches to shells, that kind of stuff. So a newfound hobby of mine maybe. Who knows? There's something quite interesting on the coastline of Okinawa. If you get up high, you can look down on the reef and you find these very definite square areas that have been cut out of the reef here. You can see this area here is all cut out. And that is specifically the older Okinawans back in history. They used to get their building materials from the reef to build their houses and their homes, and they used to come to the reef and they would cut out these square areas to use as building material, which I find is pretty cool. Even though the tide's going out, oh crikey, I nearly bloody fell. Even though the tide's going out, it still doesn't allow me to get into some of the little bays here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around to the next beach, which is a little bit longer, and hopefully have a walk along there and see if we can find whatever we can find. Cool beans. Now this is something we get a lot of in Okinawa, is the beach glass. There's actually a couple of beaches that are quite popular for people to find sea glass. It comes in all shapes and sizes, all colours, and people do some pretty crazy things with it. A friend of ours actually made a Christmas tree from it, although a small one because it was damn heavy even for about 6 inches tall, but it looked pretty funky. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's jump in the car. I'm just going to drive. I've got to drive a couple of 100 yards. But I can't walk around that part of the coastline, so we'll get to another beach and we'll see what we can find. Well, this is one of the beaches that I come to every now and again just to have a look along. But what you'll notice out in the ocean just out here, if you can make them out with this wide view, there's a bunch of rocks out there that I've photographed a number of times in rough weather on this coastline. The waves are coming straight in off this beach, they slam into those rocks, and man do they create spray. Check these out. All along the coast, it's just these, all along this beach, it's just a whole bunch of tiny little shells, like scallop shells like this one, or limpets, stuff like that. You also get these small kind of like oyster kind of mussel shells, that kind of stuff. But you get loads of these. I don't know what they are. I call them convict turbans because they're black and white. But yeah, for some reason I really like them. They look pretty cool. And I don't know, maybe I'll find a use for them to make something from them. I've got a whole jar load. Some like this one can actually have more of like a pinkish kind of tinge to them as opposed to white, but some of them are very, very black and white, which is pretty cool. But all along here, all along the high tide line, you'll find loads of shells, and other bits and pieces. So let's just carry on, see what else we can find. Another one of the buoys, as I mentioned, reds and blues seem to be the flavour of the day. There's not much you can do with these. What I try to do with them is put them way up above the high tide line, because I guess the best of two evils is you've got them, but as long as they're not on the ocean causing navigation hazards, I guess the best thing to do is try and make sure that they don't get back in the ocean. Now here, unfortunately as well, you can see evidence of an oil spill. More traces of man. Obviously plays havoc with the wildlife, not just here but all around the world. Just so sick to see this kind of crap everywhere. What are we doing, man? What are we doing, mankind? Sometimes I think it was a bit of a joke to put the word kind in our species name, or in our species descriptor, because all you got to do is turn the television on these days and find out and realise that we're not that kind actually, are we? Not to each other, and definitely not to the planet. Such a shame. And these are things I like to find, things like this. This is the like some kind of oyster, marine oyster, but what you'll find on this one, on the inside here, it looks like there's some remnants of a ocean stinger, or the Portuguese man of war, which are prevalent in Okinawa at this time of year. so we just have to be careful of those, but always a nice find. I like the luster and just the shape. I don't know what I would actually do with them, I have no idea, but who knows, there might be something. I'll keep my eyes peeled for inspiration. And just to reinforce that point about the marine stingers, here is a tiny Portuguese man of war attached to a piece of wood, obviously that tracked it onto the ocean, or tracked it onto the beach, but yeah, tiny one. The stingers, it seems, are wrapped all around the body, so they're not touching me in any way, which is great, but judging by the way this guy's all dried up, I'm not too sure how long he's been on the beach. Maybe some time. Okay folks, I think we're good for today. I've had a little look around here and there's doesn't seem to be too much around. Lots of these cockle shells, as I've told you about, but yeah, I think more so in the south where I live there's a lot of people. This is where the big concentration of people are, so I think there's a lot of people out looking on the beaches. So hopefully, maybe sometime soon, we'll make a day of it and head out to one of the northern beaches, or a few of the northern beaches, and just have a look around there. But until that time comes, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay happy, stay sane, and above all, be with the ones you love, and have a good time. So take care until the next time.